We kind of decided that for today's demo, we were going to run through mostly a series of Q2 improvements, so we'll call it, within Teams, but really I'll say mostly they're Copilot related. And one of the ones that I'm going to showcase here right away is, moment. I'm going to show, actually, I'm going to use the M365 Copilot app specifically. So let me share that. There we go. So this one kind of, I feel like, snuck under the radar, and I wasn't as aware of it as I'd like to, because I immediately see a lot of use. So, here I am. I'm in the Copilot app, and I'm going to go to the search function. And let's say, I'm just thinking through, like, I believe it was probably Copilot conversations, or maybe it also could be documents, right, where we want to look at marketing. Typing the right one. I'm going to just use marketing as a term. And you can see already, it's finding like loop components in Excel and whatever. I'm just going to say marketing, and I'm just going to see what Copilot kind of comes up with, because it should include like previous conversations, etc. Right? Now notice over here on the right, I have yet another Copilot option, right? So I've got lots and lots of loop components, Word docs, Excel, all my stuff. And you've probably seen this when you use your searches. You've got various components, and in organizations that you've worked in, you might even have seen things like ServiceNow connectors and, connectors outside of the Microsoft ecosystem. But I could come over here and open up another search, and, immediately it's going to probably try to anticipate. I only gave it a single word, right? So it doesn't have a lot to go on. But okay, so found several references to marketing, blah, 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 blah. Mel with her shades on. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to just say, give me 3 specific areas on which to focus my marketing efforts. Now, what's also useful to know here is that I have spent a lot of time I'll say, tuning just the general Copilot with custom instructions for myself, right? I'm like, listen, I'm the COO of OnPoint, and I have very specific things I need to accomplish. And this will use those custom instructions when, it comes back. So I'm saying, give me 3 specific areas on which to focus marketing efforts right now. And I've instructed it in several ways, like just behaviorally be very blunt with me, don't coddle me. I just need you to give me the basics, right? This is okay. All right. And this is interesting because it actually, the wording is different, but it's largely the same kind of things. Build authority in one vertical. Legal. This is a conversation we've been having, like, let's maybe get laser focused. And then the last time I ran this, it also did say, like, really zero in on like your LinkedIn presence, like hone it, tune it. And it actually previously had said, it had pulled from recaps of conversations that I had with Mel around some tweaks that she'd made that she found like really worked with outreach. And it was like, you need to do those same things, right? This time it's coming back with some slightly different things, but this is the same. Stop worrying about brand awareness. Stop spending time on website perfection. And we've kind of decided that largely already, but it's kind of reinforcing some of those things. So the main point isn't so much that part of the conversation. It's more so that this is new. You can run a search, and then after you search through things, you can hit Copilot. And let's say I said more than marketing. Maybe instead what I said was, I just started with that, give me 3 things I need to be focused on right away. Hits my search, I hit Copilot, and then it would just give me this right there and then. You know what I mean? Like in one click instead of multiple. So
I don't know what your experience has been, but I have noticed We're in an ecosystem where we record and transcribe our meetings. I think we both use Copilot pretty heavily through the day with the different tasks that we're trying to accomplish. Um, I've noticed that when I do maybe a search or just when I'm asking it, I'm starting a new chat with it and I'm asking Copilot to, help me kind of navigate something or get my thoughts clear around a specific topic. It is pulling all of those references from our ecosystem much better than I think it did even 6 months ago. I've
No,
noticed, I don't know if you've noticed a lot of improvement in that. It's picking up the different nuances, like from a Tuesday to a Wednesday, if we talked about something at our Tuesday night meeting and made a decision on something, on Wednesday, it is like changing the way it's, coaxing me to do something. And it's picking that up naturally without me telling it, hey, we made this decision yesterday. Now we're going to go this direction. Yeah, I think even in the last probably month, I've noticed that significantly
I agree.
improved.
And I'll be interested, like, Billy, if you've seen the same thing, but I'll couch this in one significant fact, right? Like, we on point are like wide open in our implementation of these tools. So, we pretty much have all of the base functionality turned on, right? And like, I suspect that you come from a highly regulated environment where a lot of these things may not be turned on. But have you likewise noticed maybe, let's say, an improvement contextually or even just in the immediacy of data
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Copilot's
I was gonna
responses?
ask. Yeah, that was actually my question, kind of back to you two, right? Did you notice the improvement due to, or do you think the improvement was underlying, model, Copilot model improvements, or is the improvement partially or maybe more based on the amount of data that you fed it?
Think it's both. I don't think it's just one. There are some updates that have happened to the product that I think have improved the way it uses the data that it has access to. But yeah, to your point, the amount of information that it has about what we're doing has
Yeah.
significantly increased over the last
Well,
Right,
6 months,
right.
right?
So it's kind of a
as
virtuous cycle, right? So the more
Yeah,
data you give it, the better the model is, the better the model is, more it uses the
right.
data, you know,
So
absolutely.
right.
as an example, right, like we have facilitator generally turned on in our calls. We record and transcribe. Um, Most of the time we have loop sort of summarizations of all of our conversations, and Copilot has access to all of that stuff, right? So it has that context immediately post every meeting. Like, I can go back and say, hey, last night when we were talking, I missed this one point. What was it? Like, I don't even have to like dive back into the specific meeting and try to like go into a transcript. Like, it's just got all that data and it just pulls it for us.
So an interesting use case that a way that I've been using it, even at like in-person client meetings, I don't have I don't have Copilot sitting there next to me in the chair, like transcribing and taking notes through the whole meeting, right? But what I have done, so we have our CRM system built on SharePoint. We have notes about the client, all that information in there that gets updated after each client meeting. So before that meeting, I can go to Copilot and I can set it up and say, this is the client I'm going to talk to. This is the topic we're going to talk about. Through the meeting, I'm going to give you just random notes to take to journal for me. And so during the meeting, I can just drop shorthand notes just like I would in my OneNote notebook. I can sit there and now that chat is set up. I drop those shorthand notes to Copilot. And then at the end of that meeting, when I get back to my office, I can sit back down with Copilot and say, okay, help me create structured notes. What are my takeaways? What do I need to focus on? And create a task for my planner board for that. So even in the meetings it's not in, I've been able to use it. And then it comes up in my search results too. And so all that information I fed it, it now has all that data to continue to build on. Tony, another thing, this was one that I got asked the other day. So we've got the search up at the top, but that can be kind of overwhelming when you get the results, you put in marketing and it has SharePoint results, it has meeting results, it has the Copilot results. There's so much there. If you go down to where it says chats on the left-hand rail there is a magnifying glass there. So if you click on that, that will search just your Copilot chats. So that helps kind of zero that in if you're just looking for a chat that you had.
That functionality has been around for quite some time, but it's one of those ones, right, that here's another interesting one. I didn't notice until very recently that I could pin chats. I've got two of them pinned right here just for today so I could quickly get back to them. But yeah, like I just learned that. And a lot of times you don't even know until you kind of like hover over something to get the context, right? Like, what was it, a year ago or whatever it was when we were just like in OneDrive inside of Teams or the browser, and we're like, oh wait, I can get a summary on a specific file, or wait a minute, I can multi-select and get a summary on all of them. Like, when did that appear?
Yeah, it's evolving very rapidly.
Yeah, so this one's really short. I'm just gonna like mention this, and I don't know if you guys do this very much, but I can just dictate. But what I'll sometimes do is I'll come over here and I'll just do a voice chat. And I don't do it so much here on the computer, but for me, it's maybe like I'm driving, I'm headed somewhere, and hands-free is pretty important to me. It should be, right? It's most cases, it's like the only legal way to use your phone. And so I'll quickly kind of like open up and have a voice conversation with Copilot, and I'll ask it questions. I don't know. It could be anything, right? Maybe I'm just ideating something for work. It could be, I use it almost like a search engine sometimes when I'm, maybe having a conversation with like one of the kids, and they'll like have some factoid, and I'll be like, is that real, or, whatever. But what I always sort of assumed, and it would have been incorrect, was that my memories that I have set up in Copilot previously, which is, have you done that before, Billy? Like, you'd be like, remember that I am a project manager for blah, blah, blah. Or you could be like, remember that I like pizza. Remember that my favorite color is blue.
So you're saying the Copilot within Teams, or just Copilot
in general?
So I've done that. I do that on when I set up projects, but not for like I didn't know a general, but I do that within projects themselves.
Yeah. So just very, very briefly, that's it here. Let me take a quick look. Yeah. Under personalization, you have custom instructions and saved memories. So custom instructions, that's what I was talking about earlier, like where I fed it information, like always give me the brief. I am the COO. This is like me handing it a handbook of like how to talk to Tony, right? And then of course, let me see if I've got anything in now. I have not captured it, but like you can at any moment, like while you're chatting, just say, remember this, right? And then it's just going to drop it into the saved memories, and each one is distinct. And then
what's the upper limit on that? Do you have any idea?
I was just to say, it changes. It's something that is dynamic. So the way it was originally rolled out was that it would just kind of like change over time. So if I told it that I like apples more than bananas, but then over time I quit talking about apples and bananas, then it would just get pushed out depending on how relevant it ties to the things that you're talking about today. But let's see what it says here.
Nobody knows.
No, yeah.
aside from the vendors, nobody knows. So, no, even it doesn't know. So yeah.
I imagine I imagine that is a highly evolving space.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
the way it was described to me before was just that it dynamically, based on the information you're giving it, it makes a decision if it's still relevant or not, kind of thing.
Sure.
Now, the point I was getting to was, let's say I had a series of saved memories in there. My assumption had always been that if I'm having that voice conversation with it, that it was in fact including those memories to help guide the conversation around what it already knew about me. And I would have been wrong until Q2 of this year. So that's really the short of it, which is interesting. If you didn't know, now you know. And the important thing I would say is that if you rely upon those memories, you can use the actual voice chat and be confident that it will preserve all of that.
Yeah, and where in the past maybe you weren't getting the results that you thought that you should be getting, or you're like, why do I get a different result when I use voice versus when I type it in? That should be a consistent experience now.
So before it basically had two different memories.
It just, the voice was not accessing your saved memories. It would just respond as if it had no saved memories.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know
smart.
you're right. Now that you mention it, I've noticed that, for example, if you do something on mobile, it doesn't remember what you talked about on. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, it's good to know.
And
Hey,
I don't know.
Full disclosure, real quick, I have 8 more minutes till I got to drop to my next gig here.
No worries. But it makes me also wonder, okay, it can do save memories, but does it do my custom instructions? So it evidently has access to all of the personalization settings, which is really nice because I have dumped a ton. Like if I came back in here and I showed you my custom instructions set, yeah, you can see I've got a ton of information in here. And actually, in a previous session we ran, I actually kind of showcased a way in which I can have Copilot literally like interview me to fill out my custom instructions based on what is important to me, right? It'll interview me and ask me the questions, give me the custom instructions, and then paste into it to make it more personalized. So, all right, and just because you don't have a lot of time, I'm going to hit the next two of these pretty rapidly. So let me stop sharing this. And I'm going to share my Teams view for just a moment. And actually, let me go ahead and include sound on this too. Come on. There, I think that's it. Yeah, okay. There we go. So this next one is really to showcase something that you may already be using, which is shared files, loop components, etc. So if I let's go to one of my chats as an example. I'm gonna give you a little peek behind the curtain. And you can see here, we use facilitator, it's grabbing information. And then here's like the weekly loop kind of component, right? Decisions made, open questions, things we want to add to the agenda, general meeting notes, all that information. If I click into that, then I will get to a web page with, since this is like weekly call, I'll have all of the loop, all of the, week over week loop components for each of them. And all that's available to me, it's available to Copilot, etc. What's new though, is that it is now available in external chats. So what that means is that you've got outside partners, vendors, third parties you're working with. You can now share all of that information with them much more easily than you could have in the past. That's
a
kind of
huge win for small business.
Yeah. And then
that'll be available in banking in 17 years.
Right. And then
maybe not as big of a win for your regulated space, Billy.
Are you using Loop today?
We'll get there is the truth.
Yeah. Are you using Loop today? Do you have it available in your existing environment?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have it enabled.
Excellent. Then really the last one, which I also think is a pretty interesting and I think super useful capability, is if you dive into a recap. So I'm gonna pop open a recap from Tuesday's Power Hour for just a moment, and I'm gonna stop sharing and move over to that.
Make sure you share audio.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to stop. Oh yeah, okay. Oh, I know why. I've got to switch my audio over here. Go to that and share sound. Let's go to this window here. All right. So hopefully you can see that. And so what we've got here is really the recap. And you've probably seen this before, Billy, or maybe it's available in your space. And if not, we've got AI generated meeting notes, and we've got of course it has the actual transcript, the full recording here. What's interesting is if you look up at the top here, I have both a video recap and an audio recap capability.
The session began with Mel and Tony confirming.
Let me switch out, and you can kind of quickly see. I'm sharing that. Share this.
What's cool about it is that the video recap does an AI voice overview, but then it will also tap into specific points in the meeting and just have, like the highlight reel, if you will, of what the meeting was.
Yeah. So let me just pull back here and you can kind of get an idea of like what that looks like.
That's a great image of me. That's
They're all doing the mustache.
Yeah. I must ask you a question, Tony. Oh, we don't have audio anymore.
Oh, there's no audio now?
No.
Okay. You still got 3 minutes. Okay. Stop sharing and try to share it again.
I don't know that I didn't know that was available with the video like that. We must not have that turned on.
It's new in the last quarter, so perhaps it's still trickling out, but if you have recording and transcription available, it would seem to me that should
we have recording and transcription. It's possible it's on and I just don't know about it.
Didn't I explain that really the purpose of this call is to just generate FOMO?
Right.
All right, let's try this.
It's working.
The session began with Mel and Tony confirming that the partner benefits setup was successful after some troubleshooting. They discussed the developer access issue, with Tony explaining the permissions required and Mel agreeing to double-check the configuration. This set the stage for the rest of the meeting. Next.
Yeah, so you kind of get a sense, and then at points where it's important, it'll just like stop talking, and then you'll hear maybe a snippet of the actual conversation, and then it'll jump back to the overview. But it took like an hour, and it just condensed it down into 2.5 minutes of the highlight. It's like a highlight reel, right? And then I don't know if it'll play this.
Pretty decent, too.
Yeah, so like if you're just like so pressed for time, but you really need to know what's going on, that might be a good. Now tell me if you're able to get this. So I pre-ran the audio overview because it does take a moment to build. But when you want to do the audio overview that you saw next to the video overview, the first thing you get is you get a drop down where you can choose what type of audio overview you want to do. So it's kind of like if you do the executive one, it's one voice and it's really just like boom, like it's just super crunchy. You could do kind of more of the podcast style. The other two are very podcasty, but this one's the executive. And tell me if you're able to hear it.
Got it.
Power Hour centered on resolving workplace access challenges, moving forward contract deliverables, and bringing new clients.
Can you play that back on mobile? Like it'd be good if you miss a meeting. Yes. Like I'm going to jump in my car and I'll listen to the summary.
100%.
Yes. Yep. It'll save off into your OneDrive. You just got to go grab it and then you can play it. And of course, if you've got OneDrive set up on your phone, it makes it pretty easy to just find that recording and then listen to it. Yep.
Yeah, right on. Cool.